So for the drawing part of this video, I'm just going to focus on the farmhouse part. I printed out a picture here just so I have something to follow. And so I'm just going to focus on this. I'm not going to walk through this part here, the grass, or I don't think I'll do the tree either in the video. So I'm just going to focus on this part for the video. So when you see the video, if you see this grass done, or the tree, don't worry about it. You didn't miss anything. I just simply didn't record it. So I got this, I don't know if you can see it or not, but I got this penciled in already, and I got the grass all done, and I got the tree done. I did this on a separate video, so I have a tutorial for this video, for this particular tree here if you're interested. I'll try to remind myself to put the link down in the description. But anyways, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to start off with a 0.2, and I'm just going to go and just very lightly highlight my pencil lines. I do this just to build up some confidence in my drawing, so when I go and I actually start to render it, I'm not second guessing myself as much as to what it's going to look like when it's done. Also helps me to catch any errors or mistakes when I do this. So that's also important, very important to, obviously, this is a no-brainer, pencil in your drawing to start. If you can see down in the corner, I did make a printout of my photo reference here, so I'm using that as a guide, obviously, because I am doing this at home. If I was sitting out in the field here underneath a tree and I had you guys with me and I had the music playing in the background, I wouldn't necessarily need the photo. I'd probably take the photo anyways, just, you know, I can take it home and finish it at home, right? See, already I caught myself making a mistake here. Fascia board on the soffit doesn't come down like this. So I can just correct that like that. And you won't even see that little mistake there. And this comes up like this. And we got this little addition on the back. Probably the house, when it was built 150 years ago, they probably built this addition, you know, later on as the family grew, right? So I caught another mistake I made here, actually. This roof slope is actually supposed to be a bit steeper, and it connects up with this little piece of soffit board here, but I'm not going to worry about that. Sometimes it's not good to go exact, because I find it can really stress you out. I guess if it's different if you're doing a rendering of somebody's house, something they commissioned you to do, so then you'd want to be pretty exact. In which case you'll find that, and don't be frustrated by this, I'm just giving you a heads up that when you do a rendering of a house or a place or a portrait of a cat or dog or a person, whatever, you know, there's obviously anticipate that you're going to start and start over again 2 or 3 times. Got a little side door here. So perhaps this was an expansion of a kitchen. Who knows? And they got this little shed structure in the back here. I bet you this is probably like the indoor outhouse. What we'd call a washroom, right? But back then it would be an outhouse. Outhouse moved indoors. There was actually a little side window here, but I'm not going to bother showing it. And actually, yeah, this the house is leaning to the right a fair bit. You can see that it's leaning about 10 degrees out of access there. So it's probably like, anyways. So since this is leaning, obviously these doors and windows are going to do the same pretty much. Because I know you'd want to make the doors and windows look straight, but in this case, because the whole house is abandoned and it's starting to collapse, obviously the windows are going to lean to the same direction. And we got a nice little lintel over top of the door here. We got the area here where the board and batten came off the wall here. So try to show my studs fairly even in distance. I mean, sorry, board and batten boards. Probably approximately 6 inches in thickness. So I'm just going to roughly indicate them for now. We got one little piece here that comes down like this. Like it's starting to fall off. Fascia board on this one side has come loose. Actually, it kind of goes like this, really. And this whole structure here was completely built differently. The roof. I'll come back later on and show it a little better. I'm going to start off with the roof. Don't ask me why. I like to work from the top down with my drawings for the subject matter anyways. So here I'm just putting in a little bit of roof moss. It's not in the original picture, but I just wanted to add it in just to kind of give it the look I want. So you don't have to do this. Pretty simple. I'm just drawing some sort of a squiggly circular motion just to indicate the presence of the moss, the plant material. And just come up a bit from the roof line here, just go past it, just to give it a, to indicate that it's not completely flat. So I'm just going to do this in pencil first. I don't want to screw it up in ink because it has to be drawn in a perspective, right? So you don't have to be overly detailed with this. Up to you if you want to draw the roof shingles, but don't be too technical perfect with it, just because you want to indicate it's showing a little bit of age. So just give them a bit of a rough look. So even this has to follow a perspective, right? So you want the bottom row to line up with this one, and like I said, the top one lines up with the top of the roof, obviously. So now this second little roof area here is not going to have any shingles on it at all. I'll usually just put in these little X's areas when I just remind myself to go back and make these solid black. Do it this way. I'm going to use this ink brush here for this area. I'm just drawing some lines here very, very lightly, just barely holding onto the pen here, just to sort of differentiate it from the vertical rafters. But not a lot, just barely. This is the other fascia board coming down the other little outhouse structure here. But again, if you want to see I did do an actual video tutorial for this tree here, so, but on my drawing, actually the door is over here more, but I'm going to actually put it right here. Or no, I'm going to center it. Sorry, let me just center the door here. I was going to draw some bushes, but I might probably going to just go back and do them afterwards. I have another idea I'm thinking about. So let me draw this first door. Starting with the framing, of course. Get the lintel up here. Door framing right here like this. Now because the perspective, everything goes over around here, you're going to see a bit of the door, the wall thickness going this way, not this way. Draw this like this. And maybe on the back wall, through the door, you can kind of see a window. I'll draw that in, just so you can kind of like see the silhouette of a window in the back of the room, right? Yeah, ink brush again. The ink brush is nice because you can just quickly blacken an area without using your ink pens. It's obviously more efficient, but you gotta be a lot more careful because you're working with a brush, eh? But I can draw my lines pretty thin with this thing. I can go thick or thin. I mentioned this in another video, but if you're using different ink pens, make sure that they're of a similar type of ink, because you don't want it to be obvious that you used one and another. There's nothing wrong with using different types of ink pens or whatever, but just make sure they have a consistent shade of black, right? Back to this guy here. I'm going to do this in pencil here just to plan it out a bit. How am I going to show this? I think I'll do this. I'm just going to try the 0.5 ink pen for this. So when I thicken up these lines here, I'm just showing that there's a bit of a crack. But here I'm just drawing a single line to say that there's no space between the boards here. And these thicker lines here, I'm going to indicate where you can see the framing through the wallboard. Yeah, I'm going to use a 0.3. My 0.5 is dripping for some reason. Let's use a 0.3 here to fill it in. I could use my ink brush here, but I want to be pretty crisp with my my lines. It's always good to have, if you have a set of pens that you use a lot, have a set of Rotring where you have like the 0.2 and the 0.3 and the 0.5, and you can use them together, right? So I was just thinking maybe this structure started to cave in here. So if the roof started to cave in at this point, then this structure will start to bend down like that, right? When you do your drawings, you gotta almost think like a structural engineer. So as the structure, the place you're drawing begins to decay, that it's gonna collapse in certain areas. So like this is a load point here, so obviously it's gonna start to collapse here, and then it's gonna put pressure on these boards, and it's gonna bend out here. And same thing with here, like this house is starting to go like this, right? So it's gonna put a strain on this area right here, which is gonna cause the boards to separate. Oh, that ink's still drying. So I'm gonna be very careful around here with my hands because this is still kind of drying. So I can actually just start to Carefully put my wood texture in here. Very lightly. Doesn't have to be overwhelming. Maybe you can draw a few little knots, if you can see that. If you're going to draw a wood texture and you're going to show any, like, you know, tree knots in the board, draw the knots first. It's pretty easy. It's just like drawing an eye, but drawing it on a 90-degree angle vertically. I'm actually went a bit darker than I wanted to here, but I'm going to sort of lighten up a bit on my texture as I go out. I'm just barely holding the pen, just up and down, just to give it a natural wood grain look. A little bit darker at the top where the boards meet the soffit. To indicate there's a bit of a shadow area there, right? So I'm only drawing maybe like 2 or 3 knots per board, not more than that. So I'm going to do another door here first. I think I will draw a bush right here though. Just have it coming down like this here. So maybe again I'll draw a little silhouette of a window in the background. Again, because the house is tilted, everything's going to be all out of whack. Got to keep that consistent. Tilt everything off to the right. And we'll put another window here as well in the back. I'm not drawing any glass because the photo, the windows are actually, the glass is taken out. This little corner piece isn't on the original drawing, but I'm just showing it to highlight the transition when the wall changes direction. I don't think it would be as obvious, or sure you'd figure it out, but it just doesn't show as well. Actually, I'm going to go in and off camera, and I think I'm just going to pencil it. No, I'll show it to you guys. Let me just, I'm going to use this little guy here. I'm just going to pencil it in. If you get a chance, get one of these roller rulers. They're kind of nice because they can just write it down, and they have a little measurement thing here, so you can actually. I should be using about a knot, so I can get kind of fairly precise in millimeters, measuring where my lines are going to go approximately. I don't want it to look too technical, right? So here's where you got to follow the perspective, right? Because your perspective's out here. So it's way out here, actually. It's way over off the sheet of paper. I'll start to draw that in a little clearer there for you. I didn't really bring you along for this. I just time-lapsed this part here, but I'm just going back over my pencil lines. Just drawing in a double line. It's kind of exaggerated, but I just want to exemplify the shingles. The siding, I should say, the wood siding bumps out slightly. And where was I? Oh yeah, here. I'm not going too heavy. Fairly light. And it's not necessary to go perfectly straight. Try to be sort of straight, but not have to be perfect, because having a little bit of crookedness actually adds to the feel of the drawing. I made a little error here earlier, so I'm going to have to go in and just cover this up with something else. I'll just draw a little board here to hide my mistake. Ink drawings, people think they're very unforgiving, but if you sort of thought to it, you can hide your mistakes fairly easy. So people might find this tedious, drawing every single board here, but I think it's worth it. If you want, you can do a few areas where the let's say the siding is broken off. So like, let's say this area here has no siding, and yeah, this area right here doesn't either. Maybe a little area here, board here, and maybe a large section right here doesn't have siding. So just use my pencil to bump it out, because when I have little afterthoughts like that, I have to use the pencil in case I decide I don't want to do it. I don't want to have to ink it in and then try to fix it if I decided not to do that, right? I didn't mean to continue this line right across, but that's okay. This area is all going to be blackened out anyways. I should have maybe highlighted it. At the end here, just this would be straight actually, like this, but just these pieces, just angle them slightly on the ends there, so that way they look like flaring out a bit. Adds to the realism of it, right? I'm just showing the wall studs, right? And try to keep these uniform. I was saying earlier, you gotta think like an engineer when you do these drawings, but you also have to think like a builder to just keep everything lined up. I'm not going to bother showing this part of the door here. I think I'm going to have a bush here or something. So normally you would see the foundation on a house, but because of the tall grass and considering the age that, you know, the house is probably sunk, right, and the grass is tall, so I put the siding right down into the tall grass here. Actually, I may have made a small mistake here, because this is the second floor. And right about here would be your floor joists. So technically there should be floor joists going across here. So maybe I'll just do this. So hopefully that will cover up that little small mistake. So, and just keeping my joists, my studs I should say, all lined up here. And then there's going to be one here at the door, obviously. Well, technically it'd be a double stud, but I'm not going to go into super detail like that. This area here, these areas here are all going to be blacked out. Here, 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 here. Like that. Just put this little bush in here now. There we go. So like before, I'm just going back and forth. And same thing on the ends here. I'm just adding a little bit of more of a darkening up the lines here. So what I've done here is I've made some diluted ink, and I just have them in a little film canister I put here, right? I'm just going to be using a small little brush here, and I'm going to be just showing some of the different, some of the wood is darker and lighter than others. So I'm just going to try to indicate that as best as possible. So I'm just going to first lightly like this, very lightly. And yeah, I'll draw some darker areas at the top here. Board here is a little bit darker. And maybe I'll just darken up these back ones, these interior studs. Same thing here, just darken this up a bit. And then these little areas right here. Yeah, straight across, make the shadow line a little bit more apparent. I'm just gonna go like this. I don't want it to be too well defined. Dirtying it up a bit here. There, that's fine. I should make this one side a bit darker, just with the light direction. There we go. See, you just have to be very simple with it, and it makes such a difference. Just adding that little bit of ink wash at the end. It's not something you have to do, but I kind of like doing it. So I think I'm going to draw a little bit of foliage, not a lot, just a few little vines, just sort of creeping up here and there. So I think I'm just going to do a little light wash up in the sky there. So I just filled up this container with water, and then I'll just use this big thick brush, and I'm just going to wet the top here like this. Not too heavy. Dilute it down a little bit more. Just a very light haze. I think that's it. There's a few streaks in here. I kind of want to just leave them. Kind of adds an interesting effect to it. Let me just go back over it with a little more water. There, that's okay. So the paper does curl up a bit, but after it dries, it'll flatten itself out. So this is where you just gotta like leave it alone half an hour or so. So I'll come back to it in half an hour and